starting the recording.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Good evening, everyone.
Okay.
My name is Mariana Curran, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about your photos and how you are preserving them for future generations and helping you figure out how to deal with the presumably piles of photos that you've got, both printed and digital. So let's just jump right into this. So a few questions that I have for you is why did you come to this presentation? Have you ever lost any family memories? Perhaps you've had external hard drive crashes. Do you have a hard time finding photos on your cell phone? Uh, I spoke to a group of senior citizens today, and they call themselves flippers. Um, People who they have flip phones. So they haven't lost any photos because they haven't taken any photos. Um, have you deleted photos by mistake that you didn't want to? Have you ever had the opportunity or had the bad news that your cell phone is totally filled and you're actually not even able to um, take another picture because too much space has been taken up on your cell phone? That can be pretty frustrating. Do you use iCloud? Is your iCloud full? So these are questions that you may be concerned about. I had a client, Kathy. I'm going to put you on mute right now. I'm getting some background noise. Have you ever? I had a client who had the experience of losing her cell phone in a taxi cab on the way back from a once in a lifetime trip to Hawaii. And she was devastated. She lost all her pictures. She was actually one of my very first clients. I didn't have to talk for 5 minutes, and she knew that she needed forever in her life. So to give you a little bit of background on myself, I have straight hair in the wintertime and curly hair when there is humidity. And I'm married to a mental health therapist, though I'm the one that does more of the counseling in the house. Um, Anyone who's in the mental health field typically needs psychological counseling. And those of you who know my husband well would probably agree with me. I've got two 20-something-year-olds. My constant companion is my dog Cashew. He's around here on the floor. He's a schnoodle, and he is, unlike my children, he allows me to take pictures of him all the time. So when the kids give me the stink face, I can always count on my puppy not to. I've been in the photo industry for the past 21 years. I help my clients in all sorts of issues with their pictures, from printing them and enjoying them to photo preservation, creating beautiful books. And I do presentations on a regular basis on photo preservation and photo organizing. So if you have a group or an organization that you would need a speaker for, I'm available for that. And any other Forever Ambassador would also be available to do that for you. So let's look at some of these statistics. These are pretty wild. Every 2 minutes, right now in this day and age, we snap as many photos as the whole of humanity took in the 1800s. I find that mind-boggling. Just gives you an idea of how many photos we're taking on a very regular basis. How many photos did we snap in 2017? 7.5 trillion. Who can even figure out what that number is? It's beyond our comprehension. The biggest fear is how many of those photos are actually being enjoyed and will eventually be saved. It is said that this generation is going to be the generation that does not have photos. That's kind of astounding thing to say, given the amount of photos that are being taken. And we'll talk about that in a second. So from the beginning of time, we have been a people who like to tell stories. We initially told stories by sitting down and relaying stories to one another. In fact, I interviewed and taped my father last night while waiting patiently for my husband to pack uh, for us to leave my parents' home at the beach. But my dad and I told me a snippet of history of his that I had only some of the information. And I recorded him while he talked to me for about an hour about some particulars in his childhood. And that was one of the best hours that I had of the weekend away. We People way back when, take Egyptians, they would tell stories by doing drawings, and then came along the camera, and the camera has taken over for much of our storytelling. But unfortunately, in many cases, the stories don't go along with the photos. So we need to make sure those stories stay attached to our pictures, or they'll become obsolete. And, look at a photo like this. How darling are these two? I'm sure you all have pictures that are similarly loved in your family. I have a number of photos that I've got preserved and making sure that they'll go on past my lifetime. And these mean a lot to me. My father at my wedding, I'm putting on his boutonniere. This is my dad in the center of this picture. Believe this or not, my father had no photos of his upbringing until last year. He's 87 years old, and he was in an orphanage from 7 years old until 15 years old. And he didn't know there were any young photos of him. And I was on Facebook one day, and believe it or not, my someone in my father's family posted a photo of my dad and his siblings, of something I had never seen. And I right away contacted them and said, "Do you have more pictures of my dad?" And she said, "No, I don't, but my brother may. I understand he has some old photos." But he's the black sheep of the family, and no one speaks to him. So that wasn't going to stop me. I contacted him, and lo and behold, he did have a stack of photos that I went and got from him within a few days, because these were treasures. And now my dad's got young photos of him, and even photos of his parents in Ireland, and the homestead in Ireland. So it was I don't know what would have happened to them. Probably nothing. They would have been lost, and no stories would have been passed on. And so that was really quite a find. Other photos here. My husband. I've never known him with this much hair. In fact, he's pretty bald. And there's the lovely, there's my cashew there, who's game for a photo. And oh, right, that's my son who's right beside him. And there's my son as a toddler on the beach. My daughter, in both of these two photos on the right, she lived her first 9 months upside down. No, not the 9 months in my stomach, the 9 months out of me. She thought that's the way life was to be led, was upside down. And when I would hand her off to people, I would have to warn them, be careful, she's going to flip. And she did. She never failed me. And you had to be prepared to grab, keep tight hold on her. So these are all stories that I have in my forever account that will be passed on to my children and my grandchildren. Recipes in my grandmother's handwriting, marriage certificates, all those things are that can be preserved. So I'm going to ask you all, first of all, I didn't say this in the beginning, if you would write in the chat box where you're from. If you would write in which city and state you're from, so you all can get an idea of where everyone is coming in here. We've got a nice group of people. And if you answer any of these questions here that I've got in red, you'll get a ticket towards a drawing that we'll be drawing at the end of the night. So my first question here, besides where you're coming from, is and if you don't see your ambassador who invited you here on this line, if you could put in your email address, that would be great. I'd appreciate that, so we know how to reach out to you also. Imagine your favorite photo. Do you know where it is? Can you find it quickly? Say, could you find it inside of 2 minutes? How easy would that be? Is it in a box of photos somewhere? Is it in a scrapbook that you're not quite sure where? Is it on a slide? Is it digital in a mass of digital files? Would you be able to find it if you needed to look for it? So let's see where photos are being taken from. This is really quite amazing. 56% of our photos now are coming from our mobile phones. So the moral of the story is keep upgrading your phone so you get the best photos that you possibly can. And then through other devices, screenshots, etc., 1.5 trillion are coming in. Small number, 1.5 trillion next to 4 trillion. 15% coming from Instagram and Snapfish and other apps. Who hates Snapchat as much as I do? I despise Snapchat. My daughter has sent me Snapchats that I want to grab them. I want to go through the screen and say, no, stop. I want that photo. And poof, it's gone. And this is what's happening with our children. They don't see the what they're losing when they do these kinds of photos they're just part of the air that quickly. So it's up to us to educate them. So coming in at next to last place are cameras with a scant 333 billion photos. I still use my camera when I go on vacation or I want to have a good photo because I do get a better image that way. But the way of the world is not that. And tablets come in last at 4%. So we're taking lots and lots of photos, and not always the best photos with our digital cameras. So with our phones. Sorry. So look at the two photos here. Wasn't it great when we had a camera that we could get 24 or 36 images, and we ran to the store to get them developed, and we got them back, and we looked at every single one, and we just loved them so much so that we made triplicates of them. And I've got some in scrapbooks and some in boxes, and in the process of getting everything digitized so that I've got them and will pass them on to my kids. But when we take them on those cell phones, many of them aren't even being looked. Look at this: 40% are being left on devices, and they're in the boxes, and they're not being backed up, or they're being auto backed up, and we're not even paying attention to it. So, how much are you enjoying all of those photos and images that you've got? So, when are you going to start doing that? When are you going to start taking care of it? Waiting until the time is right. Let me tell you, the time is never perfect, never perfect time. You just have to start chipping away at it a little by little. So do you have this kind of thing in your computer? All these itty bitty thumbnails. Yes, you can see these larger. Someone asked me that today. But the point is they're still there, and all they are little images of your pictures that aren't organized, that are just piling up photos upon photos. And you see this person named this folder Too Many Photos. So we want you to save the best photos. We want you to save the ones we can tell stories to. So we don't want to lose them because we're so overwhelmed. So let's talk about how we can get these photos back into our lives so they can be enjoyed, celebrated, and shared with our family today and for generations to come. So if we've got printed actual old media, we've got photos, slides. Who's got this? Photos, slides. Tell me on the right-hand side. I didn't write this. Tell me where you've got photos. Do you have more slides or negatives? Tell me what kind of places are your photos lurking? Are they? I had someone tell me that her photos were in a pizza box. Yee. Hope it wasn't too greasy of a pizza. Are they on a shelf? Are the VHSs all sitting on a shelf, all lined up? No one watches them because we don't have a VHS player. We've got the mini VHSs that we're afraid to put into the expander because when we do, it breaks. That happened to me. And I right away knew, okay, I can't do this anymore. So I got all mine digitized. So I don't have to worry about those any longer. So when was the last time you looked at these? When was the last time you saw your wedding, saw your first steps of your baby walking? Um, I found treasures in my old movies. Found my parents' wedding, believe it or not. Found me as an infant and a 1 year old and a 2 year old. I never had seen myself in action as a baby. So what about our current photos? Where are they? Do you have all of your images scattered amongst all of these different places? And it's overwhelming. Like, what do I do? How do I handle all this? So this is where Forever steps in and says, you're going to put everything into one location. And you just have to figure out the method at which you're going to do that. Do you have photos on social media? Do you have them in free temporary storage? We're going to talk about that in a second. Um, So all of these are all subject to loss. They are all subject to disaster. Um, and I know we have at least one person here from California. I don't know if any others, but currently there are fires in California. And many Forever ambassadors know people that have experienced both the fires and the floods. We've got ambassadors down in Florida who experienced the floods this past winter. So have you lost anything yourself through theft, deterioration, downsizing, disorganization? One of the biggest ways this happens is because we don't, we get a box of pictures and we don't take the time to go through them when the people were alive that passed those on to us. And we no longer know who those images are of, so they become meaningless to us. And unfortunately, they get tossed away. Have you ever been into a antique shop where you find antique photos? And that's really sad. You know, that's someone's mom and sister, daughter, wife that there are pictures of that the family doesn't know who they are. So then we've got the digital problems, and in many cases, this can be even worse. That the computers crash, and it's not, has your computer ever crashed? It's when is your computer going to crash? I promise you, it's going to crash. I promise you, I guarantee it's going to happen. Anything that's on a computer, on an external hard drive, you're going to lose. That's fact. You're going to lose it. You're going to die. No one's going to know how to get into it. No, they're not going to know your password. You are going to have a crash. You're going to mistakenly delete something. You're going to run out of space. You're going to buy a new computer and not transfer your files over. I've seen all of these things occur. USB hard drives fail 2 to 7 years. That's their shelf life. CDs, DVDs. Did you used to get duplicates on those? They have a shelf life of about 4 years. I'm not going to say that you may luck out and have a CD that's older than that, but you are playing Russian roulette with your pictures when you think that everything is hunky-dory when they're sitting on CDs and DVDs. Camera cards crash. I've had clients that used to buy camera cards upon camera cards because they didn't know what to do with the pictures that were on them. So they just kept buying new camera cards. So until I explained, okay, so this is how you handle your camera cards. Or do you use online storage that's temporary? We're going to talk about those particulars in just a second. So, and very often, sadly, people pass away without a preservation plan. So their photos get lost. And I was at this juncture. I was at a place where I had about 80,000 photos and didn't know what I was going to do with them. I'd had computer crashes. I'd had hard drive crashes. And I didn't want to lose my photos. And I started looking for the kind of storage that I needed. And I'm lucky enough, I found Forever several years ago who they fit the bill for me ever so perfectly. So those of you that are on here finding out about Forever, your ambassador can send you a list of 10 different cloud storage 10 different questions you would ask of a cloud storage company when it comes to preserving your photos. So make sure you get that list from her. so that you can look at the cloud storage that you're either currently using or considering and see if how they measure up with the answers to those questions. So do you, for a ticket, do you know anyone who's had a photo disaster? Could that have been you that had that disaster? We want to prevent that from happening. So I want to get on to talking to you a little bit about the challenges. So digital memories are hard to organize. It's challenging, it's time consuming, and we often they're often lost because of the device or the disk gets damaged. So here we are, we're going to take care of this now. So we need a solution, and this is where I'm coming in with Forever and going to talk about the solution that I have found, the tool that I have found for placing all my photos in one place, for organizing them all, having all of them be accessible to me across all my devices, and being able to share all my images. Look at all those photos there on the right. We all have pictures like this that mean so much to us that we don't want to lose them. So the temporary storage sites that are available range from ones that pretend that they are about preserving your photos and ones that don't pretend as much. So I'm just going to glance on these so you have an understanding of them. I'm going to go in depth on a few of them. I'm going to skip iCloud right now. Facebook, most of us are all familiar with. They happily take our photos. They're great for what they do as far as sharing, but we also know that there's a lot of privacy issues with Facebook, that your photos are being shared all over. You have no control. When you allow people to see your pictures, you really don't have an idea how far they are reaching. They compress all of your images, so when people, if you want to download them later, they're not going to be of a quality that you can print. They'll be good enough for about a photo that's about a 2x3. So know that that's what you're getting if you send your photos to be protected. Dropbox will close your account if it's a free account if you've not accessed it within a year. And I have had clients have Dropbox accounts closed. They miss the warning, they lose their whole account. It's not an unusual thing. So be very careful with Dropbox. You're paying a regular payment, and with all of these that you're paying, if you should stop payment in some way, then they no longer have any allegiance to you. But in many cases, they still don't have an allegiance. Even though they're taking your money, they still say in their terms of service, we have no responsibility. We decide to shut our service down. That's the way it goes. Shutterfly, you have no permanence, no guaranteed right, no digital rights. You're passing off your rights. They hold your content hostage. You can get one photo at a time back from Shutterfly. They no longer will send CDs. It's just not a place that you want to be you're able to pass your images on to someone else and then get your pictures back. Amazon's in the business of selling your data. They're interested in, you're the commodity. They're not interested in protecting your photos. They just want to find out about you. And if you decide, hey, I want to terminate my account, they can actually say, hey, we like your pictures. We're going to hold on to those. I had a friend who went into her chiropractor's office and saw her photo on the wall of the chiropractor. She was walking down the beach with her husband. She said, how did you get my picture? He said, I bought it online. So she had it in Google Photos. This is what you're allowing in all of these cases. You're checking, yes, I've read the terms, and I know you haven't. So this is what you're agreeing to. These are all from their terms of service. YouTube, owns all your content. Not on here is Instagram. They also own your content. They've got the same sort of parameters as Facebook does. SmugMug can refuse access for any reason to your account, and they take no responsibility for backing up your images. So many of you have iPhones and are automatically using the iCloud because you believe that everything's safe because you're using it. Well, they actually tell you that they at any time under certain circumstances and without prior notice can immediately terminate or suspend all or portions of your account. And I know people who this has happened to. You also agree that your account is not transferable, that upon your death, they will terminate your account. Someone asked me today, how do they know that you died? And I said, because you probably stopped paying the bill. And they thought that probably was true. And the iCloud, and this is like mind blowing, that you're responsible for backing up to your own computer. And this is why you got the iCloud. Am I right? You got the iCloud because you thought that they were taking care of your photos. But in reality, they say, we're not your place for storage. You need to take care of this yourself. They're taking no responsibility for this. So I mean, and I'm sure you're saying, well, then what the heck do I do? And this is where Forever came along, and the founder and CEO of Forever saw this exact same thing, and he said, well, this is crazy. I'm not going to give you my photos. So being the brilliant businessman that he is, he said, I'm going to create this myself. And he sold the first 1,000 accounts himself. He went out there, put a platform in place, has a firm foundation. There are tens of thousands of Forever account holders now, and we have clients worldwide. We have the money is already there, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, that takes care of your account. So Forever is like insurance for your photos. So our concern is your photos, and in early fall, your videos will be preserved also. So we're not in the business of selling to you. There's no third-party sales. We're in the business of preserving your photos. That's all we care about. So I'm going to ask you a question for a ticket. Would you rather own your digital home, or would you rather rent your digital home? All those other places I just talked about, you're renting. But with Forever, you actually own your digital home. So how do we do that? We do that with the guaranteed fund. So the guaranteed fund is a pot of money that most of the when you purchase your account, and you do purchase an account, it's you buy based on the size that you want. And I'm going to put it out there right now that an account costs a 10 gigabyte account costs $139. And it could be $129 if you're just setting up a new account with us, because you'll get a $10 gift certificate. So I can take that elephant off the table. It's $139 to start to preserve your photos. So with the guaranteed fund, we promise, and our fund says this, that we're going to preserve for your lifetime plus 100 years. The money has already been set aside for that, and that money is growing every single day. Our money is professionally, the fund is professionally invested. And right now, Fidelity invests our fund. It's not done emotionally. It's done with certain, parameters as to what the investors, how they invest, to make sure that it's on an even keel. What do we guarantee with our fund? We guarantee that as file formats change, we're going to update that, because we know that JPEGs aren't going to be here much longer. JPEGs are 35 years old, getting long in the tooth. Apple has already started with a new file format. Hasn't been adopted yet worldwide, but once a new file format is adopted, Forever will take care of updating all of your files to be in that new file format. Have you already experienced file format obsolescence, where you took your slides and you put them on a VHS, and now the VHS doesn't work? So then you had to go to a CD. Oh my goodness, CD is no good. So this kind of thing happens, that between the file formats and the devices we use, things become obsolete. Forever, once we have your images, we're going to make sure that they stay up to date. You buy it once, you never pay it again. Did I say that $139 is one-time payment? You never pay again. That money gets invested, so it grows over time. No hidden fees, no recurring costs. So other things that we have in our guarantee, we're private and secure. You own all your content. You retain all your digital rights. No data mining, no advertising to you. We triple back up on 3 separate servers that are geographically diverse across the country. And all of those are redundantly backed up. We're even going into Europe. We've got clients around the world, and we'll be moving into Europe with our servers very soon. We are encrypted with bank level security. So everything is locked down safe, and not being, no one's out there lurking, looking at your stuff. It's easily accessible. So I've got my entire library is on my phone. It's on my iPad, and it's in my computer. So it goes across all devices. They sync with each other, and they're all, they all give me the same information. We keep everything in full resolution. So you upload in full resolution, and if your photos are downloaded, they stay in that resolution too. And finally, we've got great sharing options, and I'm going to get into those in a second because I'm going to show you what an account looks like. And you can set up an entire sharing network with your own family. You set up preservation settings, what you want to happen with your account in when you pass in 10 years, 25 years, 100 years, exactly what do you want to happen with your account. We have had account holders who have already died, and they have, in some instances, allowed parts of their account to become public, where people can search for their information, and they're allowing others to see it. And this will become particularly important if you think into the future about genealogy, and you have great-great-grandchildren who are interested in their genealogy. And if you give them that kind of access with making your albums public, it's a huge service, and I'm sure a debt of gratitude. You're paying it forward for them to get information on their ancestors. And we'll talk about how we do different kinds of sharing in just a moment. So with Forever, I covered all of this. This is in our terms of service about our ownership and your guarantees of preservation. So with Forever, we can auto sync across devices. We can organize all your content. We can take all of your outdated media, and we can get it converted digitally. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. And you can create beautiful photo books and other kinds of photo gifts right through your Forever account. So you need to set up your goals. What are your goals? How do you go about creating a photo plan? So the first thing is getting everything together. You're going to gather all your digital image, you're going to gather all your paper images, and you're going to get them all located into one place. Whoops. So some of these photos that you need to get digitized, how do you do that? And how do you pick the proper service to do that? So there are a number of pluses about using Forever, and your ambassador can give you all the nitty-gritty white glove services that we do. But broadly, I want to tell you that we own the conversion facility. We're located in Green Bay, Wisconsin. I was on the phone with the front desk at Forever today talking about a client's digital order. She had some particulars, and I went through it with her, and she was actually the person who was starting to work on that box of images that were sent her. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Most digitizing is done in China and India. So you're trusting the teenager that's behind the counter at Joe's Camera, who is sending them off to a big facility, and then you got to cross your fingers that they get there, they don't get lost in the shuffle, and they come back to you. When Forever does your conversion, they automatically put it into your account. So you don't have to worry about even that it comes back. Even though it does come back, you don't have to, just getting one leg there, you're safe. But I've done many videos, albums, you name it. I've digitized it. So for a ticket, tell us, what do you need to digitize the most? What do you need to digitize the most? VHS tapes, photo albums, old photos, slides, or negatives. So just to give you a quick overview, and if you want to take a quick screenshot of this or contact your ambassador about the current pricing and the particulars, we are having a sale on conversion boxes, and she'll go into the details of how conversion boxes work. But basically, it's three-way shipping where you are placing your media into a box. It goes straight to Green Bay, Wisconsin. It gets placed in your account. And there are a couple other details that she can clue you into. So the next thing you're going to do is organize your images. And this is my cue to bring you into my account. So we organize, we tell stories behind them. We can tag our photos to find them quickly. We can create albums that we want to group photos together in. We can record the dates, and we can start to build a family legacy that will be passed on to the future. So let me click here and see if I can't get to my account. This is where it's always fun getting out. Give me 1 second. Okay, so when you to come into your account, you simply go to forever.com and then you sign in on the top right hand side. So I'm already logged in here. And right here you can see these are photos. I'm in the library that's tagged up here in the dark, and the library gives me all of the images that I've uploaded from the beginning of me having. And you can see I've got about 27,000 photos in here right now. So no, not all my photos are in here. I am weeding through and sending up the best of my images. But this, my mother's 90th birthday was this past Sunday, and I took a recalcitrant 16 people to the beach. My mother was probably the most recalcitrant of them all, and didn't want to go to the beach, but she's happy now that I did because we've got some beautiful photos. So these were photos that were just snapped. Someone picked up my camera and snapped these. I don't even think I did this. But I do have more images. I'm going to show you in a second how I upload them in here from my camera. And this is a snap of my dad telling me the stories yesterday, and the rest of it's on video. So video, as I alluded to earlier, is coming in the fall, and you'll be able to store your videos up here also. So I can sort by date taken or upload date, newest to oldest. I can also filter my files by year, by date, etc. So I could say, show me all the photos from 2013, and then you'll see a bunch of photos pop here from 2013. My son was deep into robotics then. That's what you're seeing pop up here. So albums are where the magic happens, where you start to really do organization. This, you can organize in a number of different ways. And you can see right here that I'm organizing by year. And when you go further down, I start to organize by places or people. Because I'm a little schizophrenic and haven't settled on one way or the other, and that doesn't mean it's wrong. You can do it any way that best suits you. And you can nest within an album. So here's 2016 with albums inside of it. And there can be albums inside of albums. So it's not just one album, because it can get unruly that you're doing the nesting. So we're getting all kinds of fun posts popping up here. Let me back up here a second. I'm going to bring you to an album to show you some particulars here. So this is my my parents' wedding album that I had the photos scanned. And the first thing I want to show you is that I title it and I can do a description, and there's no limit to what I can say here. I could take a novel and place it in this description. You can copy and paste it from somewhere else. You could speak this using your cell phone, because again, we have access using our cell phone. And if I came to this place on my account and I say, this, I want to give this description, I can talk this and it would type it right out and put it into my account. And I can put the date also. So when I create an album, I determine what is how I'm sharing that album. It can be a private album where no one else is going to see what's in it besides me. I can do a friends and family album where anyone who I've designated as a friend, and I'm going to show you that in a second, is able to see this. Or I can do a public album, and we've got public albums from soccer teams, from historical societies, from people that have passed who were in World War I that want people to see their stories, or World War II, their stories. So these kinds of public albums are available out there now. So I can share this album by simply clicking share album, and I get this link. So wherever this link goes, this person is able to see my photos as well as download them. And what just occurred a couple weeks ago is what's called now an ability to share this album, where people can actually upload to this album. So I just turned that on right here at the top right hand side. So imagine the possibilities. You go to a reunion this summer. Everyone's got their cameras out, has their cell phones out, and they're snapping photos. You can't be at all places at one time, but a lot of other people will be taking pictures. You can send people this link and say, everyone, please use this link to upload your photos into it. Then everyone has access to that album. So it's just a wonderful new tool that we have. If I click on one particular image, I can describe just that photo up here on the right-hand side under description. I can title it. I can put the date. And in this case, I had to put the date in because obviously this was not a digital image. It was a scanned image. So scanned images don't have the actual date on them. And the size of the file, and tagging that I can do. And tagging is another layer of organization that I'm not going to get into tonight, but you can see the different kinds of tagging with people and generic tagging saying wedding. I can share just this one photo. This link to this photo will stay with this image from now and 100 years from now. So whoever has this link is able to access this photo, and right now they're able to download this photo too. When I go into friends and family here, this is where I'm sharing with people that I choose to be sharing with. So my daughter is my account manager, and it's very easy to set that up. You just click this little caret here, and it says I'm allowing my daughter to upload, edit, organize, and make projects in my account. What she's not allowed to do is delete any photos. And I'm not sure I'll ever give her that kind of capability, because I'm afraid she'll delete all of her photos from age 10 to age 12 because she didn't like the way she looked. So I have to guard against that happening, because someday she'll appreciate the fact that she was even young, right? I'm my mother's and father's account manager, and you can see it here. It says I'm their account manager, so I can go into their account at any time, and I can organize their account and help them out with that. I sometimes sit down with my parents, and I'll say, tell me about that picture, and then I'll type out whatever information that they may give me. And I'm really looking forward to getting those videos in here, that the stories that they've been telling me that I've been keeping track of. If I go into an album from another person that I'm friends with, so let's say I'm friends with my sister. So I'm neither her account manager nor is she my account manager. And suppose, oh, look at this album she's got that has my mom and dad. And maybe I'll find a photo that I like that I would like to take. So, oh, this is a nice one. They're at the Phillies game with my nephew. I would like that photo. So right here, see that copy to my library? That photo is now been copied over to my library. So if I go back and I go to my library, and you'll say, well, wait a minute, Mariana, it's not there. It's because we're looking at date taken, and that photo was taken a few years back. I'm going to go to upload date, which is today, right now. And there is that image right there of my mom, dad, and Will at the Phillies game. So now a copy of that photo is with me. So when you're doing organization in albums, you can organize photos in all, and you can have the same photo in a number of different albums, but it's not taking up more space. When I'm transferring a photo from one account to another, that is taking up space, but within your own account, it is not taking up any extra space. So another feature that we have here is print projects. I'm not going to go into detail on that. We've got full webinars on doing print projects, though it would take me all of 10 minutes to show you how to do it. You create projects within Forever using, right now we're doing photo books, and it's as simple as saying make a new photo book, and you drag photos into your project to create a photo book and print it right out of here. Just got a message from someone that said, this is better than Shutterfly. I've got more capabilities, love the designs, and gave a big stamp of approval to Forever. So let me bounce back to my presentation here, and hopefully we'll get this to come up without, oh, hey, okay. Give me 1 second to go back to that screen. And it will come. There we go. We talked about that. So let me tell you, if you're new to Forever and you don't have an account, you need to get your ambassador will send you an invitation to set up a free 2 gigabyte account. So if you're on here tonight and she knows it, again, if she doesn't know you're here, I would ask that you put your email address in here so that I can make sure that she gets linked to you. And if I invited you, that I can make sure that you get an account. So when you get that free account, you're going to get a $10 gift certificate that you can use towards anything with Forever. But I want to show you the difference between a 2 gig and a 10 gig. It's actually 12 gig. If you set up a 2, we're going to automatically let you keep that 2 and upgrade and get when you purchase 10 gigs. So you're able to access and organize with both. You have a free mobile app. So don't set up your mobile app, though, until you've got your account so that it gets properly linked together. So hold off on that mobile until you get your free account on your computer. You can create photo books with either account. What doesn't happen in the intro is you don't have the preservation settings. You don't have the digital migration to file formats that will be coming down the line. And it's not guaranteed to be passed on for the next 100 years plus your lifetime. So I did show you that. So wait for your ambassador to send you that link, and she'll send you the link to get that free $10. And then you'll be able to go to your mobile device and download the mobile app, and you sync it up with your phone. It's very simple to do, and it's a step-by-step process, and your ambassador will walk you through that, how you would back up your phone, sync your phone, and how to take photos and automatically have your photos upload to your account. So the last thing that we do is we talked about the sharing. So how easy it is to share and pass on to future generations and make the photo books. So my question to you is, if you could create a photo book tomorrow, what would it be? Because remember, you can do it with a 2 gigabyte account. You could create that photo book. I got a notice from an ambassador today who told me that her clients' photo books that they uploaded late last week were already en route back to them. And she was pretty thrilled about that. This is Tuesday, and she did a online webinar last Wednesday evening. The books were printed out were sent by the time she was finished her webinar, people were finished their books, 1 hour. So that was pretty amazing. So not to keep you in suspense, I wanted to show you what the pricing is for this month. It's a great month to upgrade if you have storage, and if you've got videos that you know will be going into your account, you want to make sure you've got that space for them, because videos are going to take up more space. But there are different columns here, and I want you to understand the difference between them. So the left side is giving you the size of your account and the approximate amount of photos. And those photos show this variance because we're taking photos with our cameras that have they're smaller files. Then we're using a 25 megapixel camera. This is a very legitimate structure here. I'm right now using 100 gigabyte of space, and you saw I had 27,000 photos in it. You can pay a monthly payment, and it ends at the end of 1 year. So it's $19 a month for 1 year. You never pay again. But if you do the math, you'll see how quickly it is that single payments are a little bit more economical. So what I suggest is if you are looking for economy, to use your credit card, get it at the best price, and then you pay it off across the year. And you can pay even less than $19 a month or $39 a month, whatever that would be, and you would pay off in the same end of the year. So this is our normal pricing. Jingle June is 30% off. We see this pricing only twice a year. So it won't come up for now another 6 months or so. And we don't want to wait. We can't wait. Photos are begging you because they don't know when you're going to step in front of a bus or lose your cell phone. So it's very important that you get rolling on this kind of stuff. Look at the price differences here on the gigabyte pricing. So the 10 gigabytes, it's $14 a gigabyte. And if you go down to 100 gigabyte, it's $7 a gigabyte. So you've got a huge savings per gigabyte as you buy in larger increments. You can start at any increment and increase later without a problem. You can buy 25 now, add 10 gigabytes later, or vice versa. There are more payment plans, there are more amounts than this. We do go up to 1 terabyte accounts. The larger accounts are great for family accounts. I have families that all join together and get one account, and they all share the same password and email address, and their account all gets shared whenever everyone is uploading to the same place. This works really well with genealogists because genealogists are, different members of the family are doing different kinds of investigating of their families. So when you give them all access, everyone's in there sharing and keeping up on the account. So I want to finish with a couple of thoughts and then ask for your questions. So Forever can be your solution. We take care of everything from helping you collect everything together to curating and organizing it, because that's where it becomes meaningful. And then finally to celebrating your photos by bringing them back into your life, by designing beautiful books and gifts that you share, and sharing your photos with your family members. We do have a live series every Thursday night at 9 o'clock Eastern that goes through very particular nitty-gritty on how to use your account, and your ambassador will give you the details on how to get into that. So do you have any questions? I'm going to open this up with getting everyone off of mute. It's not as fun talking to people that I can't hear, hopefully laugh at some of my jokes, if there were any. I'm trying to get you all off mute here. Wait a minute. Got the right thing. Okay, here we go. Does anyone have any questions? Just yell out there. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to end the recording right now so that you're not afraid that I'm going to record you asking me a question. So I'd like to thank everyone who stayed in through the webinar, and post your questions below and I will answer those. So thanks so much and have a good evening. And I'm going to stop the recording.